Hey everyone, so it's day 6 of our community series, and today we are going to discuss about the deployments, and also we are going to see why pods are not enough. Okay, so let us begin. So in our previous classes, we have already seen like we have created pods manually one at a time. Okay, but in real companies, this doesn't work like that. Instead of creating one pod manually, we use it deployment. Okay, so it is basically a one cumulative resource. So in this video, we'll see why deployment exists, what happens, and how we can scale it up and roll back and those things. Okay. So let's just begin first with why pods are not enough. So the very first thing, like one pod is running, everything is fine, right? We did qct apply -i, one pod is running, it's cool. Now your traffic grows. Like previously you were getting around 100 requests, now you are getting 1,000 requests. Okay, so obviously one pod is not enough to handle. So in that case, suppose you bring 2 3 pods as well. Okay, then what happens? One of the pod crashes out of three. So now two are remaining. So who is again going to run the third pod? It's not like someone will log in and they are going to again do this qct apply on a pod.yaml, right? So that will not be the case. So that's why it is not recommended. And let's say if you have a 500 pods in a production, so it's very difficult to manage each pods, right? So this is the reason why pods alone are not enough. So that's why we are having this deployment. So deployment, we basically use it to run all these pods. Okay. So here we'll see what is the deployment. So it's basically a Kubernetes resource and that manages pods for you. Okay. So instead of saying create one pod, we can always say like you want to like create 3 pods. Okay, you always want 3 pods should be running, so that also you can do. Even any pod crashes, so what happens, new one gets created automatically, and also this roll out pod by pod with zero downtime also. For example, if you want to update your image version to the next one, so that with zero downtime you can update your application. So this is the like what we can say best use case of the deployment. Okay, so now we will be creating the YAML file of this. So we are having this YAML file. So here you will see the difference is that in the pod YAML, what we used to do, we used to write this API version as a v1 and kind as a pod, then metadata and all same. Then you had a spec. In a spec you used to write about the containers and then the name and the image, right? So those thing you will see is present here under this section. Okay, so you will see spec, containers, name, image, right? So above sections is related to the deployment. So one thing here, the important one which you need to understand is that in specs we add these things also, selector and match labels. Okay, so whenever you create a deployment and you want 3 pods, okay, so in a cluster it can have many pods, it could have 100 pods, but for your deployment you have to tell you have to manage only these 3 pods. So that how you are going to tell it, that you are going to tell it using this match labels. Okay, so to understand this, here you will see the match label you have given app colon nginx. Okay, so what you will do under this template, you are going to give the same level app colon nginx, so that your deployment will manage the pods which are having these levels. Okay, so this is our YAML file. So we'll just quickly go and create this. So let's just do it. Okay, so here my mini cube is also ready. So I'll just go into this Q&A series. I can go in the deployment, create a directory deployment, and here you can go and you can just create any file using like deb.yaml. Okay, so now the very first thing we have to write is that API version apps colon v1. Okay, then you have the kind as a deployment, right? Then you have to write the metadata may you have to give the name, you can give any name, you can give my dep. Okay, so after that what we have, after that you will see you have to give the spec. Okay, so this is the specification of your deployment. Then you have the replicas. So we'll come to the replicas. So replicas is basically the how many number of pods you want to run. Okay, so I at this moment I want to run three pods. Okay, so that's why I have given replicas as three. Okay, then what you have, then you have to give this labels and all. So you have to give the selector, then match label, then whatever label you want to give. Okay, so you have a selector, then you have to give the match labels. So here you can give app colon my nginx. Okay, and yeah, either you can give in double quotes, or even if you want to give it as a normal, that is also fine. Okay, so let's just give it normally only. Okay, so selector match label is done. Then you have to give here the template. Then in template here also you are having the labels. So here this label and this label will be same, my nginx. Then here you have to give the spec, and this will be your pod information like containers. Then here you will give the name, my cont. Then you can give the image nginx colon latest. Okay, so I just save it, and let me just see once. It's fine. So labels app colon my nginx. So you can see here, hmm, spec containers and name. Okay, so everything is fine. So here also you can see what each means. So apps v1 is that API version that we have discussed, that is the core API group of Kubernetes. Then replicas, how many pods to keep running, selector, which pods to manage, template, blueprint for each pod. Okay, so now let me just quickly check if I have any pod running here. So one pod is running, so that is the one which we ran it manually, right? So what I will do, I will just do kubectl apply hyphen f my, sorry, deb.yaml. Okay, so we have got an error here, that is the deployment in one second. Okay, there was some issue with my mouse actually. So here you can see deployment in version v1 cannot be handled as a deployment strict decoding error, unknown field spec.template.labels. Okay, so how you have to see is you have a spec, then you have template, then labels. So this is unknown field. Okay, so the mistake which we have done is that we have not given the metadata over here. Okay, so I need to give here first metadata, then labels. Okay, ऐसे labels दे दिए, and then you have the spec and the containers. Okay, now we can just go and create okay. Oh, so here also you can see this is not matching. So you can see that also error we have got. Selector doesn't match the template labels. So here nignx is there instead of nginx. Okay, cool. So now you can see my dep is created. Okay. So now if you will just do kubectl get pods, so you will see you are having now three pods of the deployment. So if I just clear the screen and run it again. Hmm. So here you can see my dep and some random names. Okay. So here you have three pods running of the same deployment. Okay. So now if we move forward, so here you will see about this API version and kind, what's different. Okay. So in pod we use this API version v1 and kind was pod. So core resource we use the original core API group we have, and that version we basically as the v1. So deployment belongs to the apps API group. So higher level resource that manages pods for you. Okay, so that's why we have given this apps colon v1. Okay, and kind as the deployment. So now you will see about the most important field which we saw, that is the replicas. So it means I always want three pods to be running. And also what happens if we any pod gets crashed, like pod 2 get crashed, so again the new pod will come up. Okay, so that also we'll see. So this selector and match label, I told you, whatever in match label you will give applet nginx, so it will attach to the all the pods. Okay, and without a selector the deployment would not know which pods belong to it. Okay, so and the template that also we saw about all the pod information we are going to give over here, and inside template you will see a pod specification again. So that was the one interesting thing. Okay, so now we just applied. So yeah, we saw the pods but we didn't see this one get deployment. So let me just show you this kubectl get deployments. So you can see here my dep, whatever we created and ready 3 by 3 means 3 replicas we had given and 3 is running. So that is fine. Then up to date is 3, available is 3. Okay, so this is about this one get pods we already saw. So now what happens exactly under the hood, like how like 3 pods are running. So deployment जो resource है, it basically manages, like it creates the replica set. So replica set is also one Kubernetes object which gets created. So if you just do here kubectl get replica set, so you will see my dep and something, and the replica set has been created with the 3 desired count and current is 3 and ready is 3. Okay, whatever replica we have given, with that it will get created. Okay, so whatever pods gets created because of the replica set. Okay, so here you will see get replica sets and get pods. Okay, now we can just scale the application and we can scale down as well. So scale the application means suppose the load got increased, okay, and you want to scale it up. So in production and all, it all happens automatically, but to just understand the thing how it happens, that you need to understand. So there is a one command kubectl scale deployment, and then you have to give the deployment name and then the hyphen replicas 5. So whatever replica you will give over here, that much number of pods you will be running. Okay, so let's just do it. So our deployment is my dep. Okay, so if I will do here just kubectl scale deployment, what is the deployment name, my dep, and we can just give the hyphen replicas equal to 5. My dep. Okay, so here you can see deployment is scaled, and if I'll just go and see the get pods, so you will see now I have the 5 pods running of this my dep. Okay, if I do again, so you can see the 5 pods are running. Now if I want to just do the replicas to 2, so now you will see all pods will get deleted and only 2 will be running. Okay, so here is the catch. Now we have done the like scale down to 2 but our replicas were 3. So in that case the what we can say जो first privilege we get, that we get with that, like whatever we give into the command. Okay, so that's why it will get scaled down. So get pods, if you see, so it will be only 2 running because we have a scale down. Okay, so scale up scale down is whatever you will want to give, means whatever number that will be running. Okay, so now moving forward, I just wanted to let you know is that if I want to just delete this deployment, and if you'll just apply again, let's just clear the screen, let's just get parts. So here you will see once it starts running, then I will just show you. If I will just delete one pod, then what will happen in that case. So let's just go for deletion of this pod. Okay, and let's just do kubectl delete pod and the sorry uh, delete pod and the pod name. uh, hmm. So now you'll see pod got deleted. Now if I do again the get pods, you will see again the new pod came. Okay, so now it's creating, now it's running as well. So deployment takes care of how whatever number of replicas you have given, it should be running. Okay, so now let's just move forward for the rolling update side. So rolling update is basically means when you want to update your pods. Okay, so update means, for example, previously it was running on some version 1, yeah, like the version 1 image, and now you want to use the version 2 image. So obviously you need to do update, right? So same thing here, you can see before an image, for example, it's running on 1.25, now you want to run on 1.26, then you will just do apply. So pods update one at a time, never all at once. So suppose we are having the three pods running, so one will go down, it will come up with the new version v2, then another one will go down, it will come up with a new version, another will go down, it will come up with the v2. So this we call as the rolling updates. Okay, so let's just see how we can do it. Okay, so in deployment.yaml, here I have given my image as the Nginx latest, but now if I want to use as the 1.26, and let's just apply again, and let me just use again the same command here. uh, Rollout status deployment and then the deployment name. Okay, so that also will give kubectl apply f1f pod.yaml, sorry, dev.yaml, then kubectl rollout status, and then we are having the deployment, and then the deployment name mydep hyphen w, right? So that we can give. So deployment configured, waiting for deployment mydep rollout to finish. So you can see 1 out of 3 new replicas have been updated. So we'll just wait. Mhm. Okay, we'll just open up a new terminal. There also we can see kubectl get parts. You can see one is container creating itself. Okay, so once all three will come up, then we can see here. Okay, so this is about your rollout. Then if you want to roll back, suppose the new version whatever you have deployed has a bug or something, it got failed, then you can roll back also using this particular command, kubectl rollout undo deployment, so it will go back to the previous version. Okay, so yeah, this is okay, cool. So here you can see 1 out of 3 new replicas to one old replicas are pending termination. So yeah, everything is now rolled out successfully. Okay, so if I just do here kubectl get pods, so now you'll see all three pods are running. So in this way you can just roll out a new update. Okay, and for rollback you can use the same command, rollout undo and deployment nginx deployment. Okay, so now some real production examples. Suppose a banking application can't just stop, update, and restart, right? It should be always running and out. So without deployment, if you are using just pod, so you need to stop the entire application, then you need to update it, then start it again, right? So there will be a downtime. But in case of deployment, pods update one at a time, and your application will be always available. Okay, so that is a zero downtime strategy. Okay, so quick recap is here we have like what we have covered. So why pods are not enough. Then we covered about the replicas, selector and template, rolling updates, rollbacks, scaling up and down, and what deployments are. Okay. And there's a task for you now. Like what you have to do is that you have to create a deployment with 3 replicas using the Nginx image, and then you can verify this one. After that, you can scale up and down as well. Then you have to inspect replica sets. After that, you have to perform a rolling update also, and the next thing is like you have to deploy 4 replicas. Then what you do, you delete one pod manually, then you have to see what is happening. Okay, so this is all about it, and just one understanding for you is now is that pods run your application, replica sets keep the required number running, and deployments basically manage the replica sets while providing scaling, rolling updates, and the rollbacks. Okay, so next we are going to cover about the services in Kubernetes. So this is all about the deployment. I hope you understood it. So if you like this video, then you can just share it with others. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for watching.